Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
Chance to Start Over Again by Kalokagathia. Luffy's dream came true, but what's the meaning of accomplishing his dream without his Nakama around? So he's going to go back and start over. Time travel, what else? I don't own anything. Member list. Taz Peterson, Yonko. Leilani Morris, Warlord. Garrick Russell, Warlord. Black Money _ Young Lion, Warlord. KSG PL4 YZ, Warlord. Adios.
We're here, Corazon shouts with a grin, and Luffy suddenly shows up next to him, giving the poor man a heart attack. Really? Let me look, Luffy chirped with a grin, leaning on the railing. Stop appearing out of nowhere, Corazon shouts as he was on the ground, panting badly and pale as a ghost. Get used to it, Law suddenly shows up too, sighing as he looks at Corazon in pity. He's going to keep doing that for the fun of it. Law pauses, and maybe you're the primary victim. Law finishes while Corazon got stiff like a rock of what Law said. You do understand me, Torao, Luffy says cheerfully, making Law only sighs once again and stands beside Luffy, looking at the island they were about to land onto. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Where are we going? Law asks while he and Corazon follow Luffy, adult form, who is just walking who knows where. Dunno. Luffy lied while the two just facepalmed and let Luffy do whatever he wants. As they continued walking with a few accidents with Corazon, they saw a town nearby. Oh, look! People with meat. Before Law and Corazon would stop him, Luffy disappeared. Goddammit. Law shouts in frustration as something slowly appeared or activated inside his heart. With Luffy meets some pedophile. What? He stops, looking at Corazon, who looks at him weirdly. Even he was surprised of what came out of his mouth. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Luffy ignored the weirded looks he got and instead focused on one person he sensed. Kuro. After all, that guy was one of the reasons he came. He continues walking as if he never had a thought of how he should torture Kuro, a fake innocent grin on his face that would surely make everyone think that the man was harmless. He starts to jump on every step he was taking, counting them to satisfy his impatient bloodlust that was hidden underneath his smile. As he kept counting, his hands twitched due to his excitement. He places his other free hand on his trembling one, trying to calm it down. I have to calm down. As Luffy started to stop his trembling one, he places his left hand to hide his dark and bloodthirsty grin. Damn, I'm near. He clears his mind and starts to fake once again. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Hurry, Klahadore. A little Kaya shouts as she looks at different shops. The library catches her attention and starts to run, making Klahadore run too. Yes, before Klahadore could finish his sentence, something stops him. Klahadore and Kaya notices this and looks at the hand that was tugging his black suit. Excuse me, sir. Klahadore looks back to see a chest. He trails up to see a man with a grin and a straw hat. I'm lost. I can't find my friends. Oh, Kaya rushes to him and clasps the tall man's hand. She won't lie, the man looked very intimidating if it wasn't for the grin. We can help you. I think there's a center for lost people there. Do you want to go? The tall man's eyes beamed in happiness. Thank you so much. The tall man flashed an innocent grin at them. Kaya chuckles as she sees the guy go near at Klahadore. As they were walking, the tall man decided to spice things up. Hey, the tall man starts while Klahadore hums to say that he was listening. You must be strong, the tall man says while Klahadore laughs in embarrassment. And no, I'm not strong at all, Klahadore says nervously, while the tall man looks at him with a grin that made Klahadore feel at the edge. You're right. After all, you only have claws. Klahadore freezes while the tall man chuckles somehow darkly and goes to Kaya, talking to her. How, Klahadore thought as he forced himself to walk. During the whole walk, Klahadore was brainstorming. Does the man know? If so, he has to kill him. We're here, Kaya shouts as she takes Luffy's hand and enters the room with Klahadore following them. Hello there, Kaya-sama. A man at the counter says before looking at the little guy. Who's this handsome guy? Kaya chuckles while the tall man chuckles embarrassingly. He's Luffy, we found him when we were shopping. He said he was lost and can't find his friends. Oh, the man makes a thoughtful look and smiles at the very tall man. Well, you can spend your time here for now. Your friends may have known now that you're here if they're asking. Luffy nods before going near at Klahadore. Once again, he sure does like you, Klahadore-san. Kaya laughs, of course, after all. Klahadore is a nice person. Klahadore smiles, then looks at Luffy. Can I talk to Klahadore-san? Luffy asks while tilting his head. Kaya nods and Luffy cheers, taking Klahadore's hand. After going into a quiet place, Luffy stops grinning. You must be desperate, Kuro, Luffy chirps with a dark laugh. Klahadore, or Kuro, places his glasses position back to where it should be. He suddenly takes out his cat claws and wasted no time at slashing it to Luffy. Luffy sees through this and lazily dodges it. Kuro was surprised but instantly regained his composure. You're really confident that you think that no one will find my corpse if I die. Luffy pauses, though me dying would only be a dream. I have nothing to say to a person who's about to die, Kuro says coldly before attacking once again. Luffy had a dark glint in his eyes. The torture was about to begin. He kicks Kuro at the stomach, making the man gasp for air. He then continues to the arm, then to the shin, to the chin, then repeat. He made it very weak so that the man could slowly feel pain. If you would say that I did this, they wouldn't believe you one bit. He repeats the action as Kuro was having a hard time. You can't make any noises, they would be surprised to see you with a claw. Repeat, if you make any, they would be surprised and you would end up with the Marines. Luffy clicks his tongue as the guy coughs silently. He repeats the actions again and again until the man was barely conscious. Luffy leaves, sensing that Corazon and Law were coming to the building. Oh, Luffy, Kaya waves with a smile. Where's Klahadore? Oh, Klahadore-san said I can go on since he had some things to do. Luffy says before the entrance gets slammed by Law, who looked like he was so angry and happy at the same time. Luffy. Law slammed himself at Luffy, who made a blank face with a smile while being thrown in the air with Law. On the other hand, Corazon's jaw dropped. There was never a time where Law did something like that. Even a hug would put Law on the edge. I was so worried, you idiot. What if something bad happened to you and I couldn't do a single thing? If you try doing that again. Law cuts himself off, seeing the current awkward position they were in. Law stands up, coughing out his embarrassment and hides his face with his hat while going near Corazon. Luffy acts like a robot, going up stiffly with the same face as before. Is it me or this reminds me of Sabo and Ace? He feels like something was going to happen. Kaya awkwardly coughs and gets the attention of everyone. I guess this is the time where we'll separate, Kaya says sadly while Luffy crouches down and hugs her. Ignoring Law who is twitching in anger. She, don't worry, Luffy pauses. I'm sure this isn't the last time. Luffy suddenly lets go of Kaya and goes out with his friends. Kaya looks at him questioningly before looking for Kuro. Klahadore. Kaya asks while turning to every place she sees. I'm here. Kaya runs to the right side, only to see Kuro at the corner, redness in his chin while everything was hidden. What happened, Klahadore? Kaya shouts in worry while approaching him. I stumbled down the stairs, Klahadore says, embarrassingly. Kaya sighs before taking Kuro's hands. Geez, let's go. The next day, Luffy and the two did their morning routine. Though, Luffy's plan was to meet Usopp. This time, Luffy was alone. Luffy followed Usopp's presence and sees him after walking. Hello, what's your name? Luffy chirped while little Usopp flinched before Griot about you. What's your name? Usopp asks while Luffy returns his grin. I'm Luffy, it's nice meeting you. After that, they played, talked about some things, and some more. Hey, what's your dream? Luffy suddenly asks, making Usopp look at him with the widest grin Luffy could have ever seen at little Usopp. I want to become a brave warrior of the seas. Usopp proudly says before pausing. How about you? I want to become the Pirate King, Luffy exclaimed while Usopp's jaw dropped before smiling. He knew their dreams were both hard and almost impossible to accomplish. After that, Luffy spent his whole day with Usopp, and big goodbyes when it was nearing night, a bond created. Another morning came, Luffy being the only one awake. He made food for the two before going out at the inn they found. He starts to run towards the mansion. Kaya and Klahadore were there along with other people. He can't waste time since Luffy has to go to his brothers. He also sensed Usopp with Kaya, good. Then there's a giant guy in front of me with an axe in his hand and then Usopp almost had a heart attack along with Kaya since Luffy suddenly appeared. Luffy-san, how did you get her? Kaya was cut off with Luffy's serious face. Kaya, Usopp. You had to get out of there, Klahadore is dangerous. Luffy shouted as the two frowned. You know he could never be one, Luffy. Usopp and Kaya would ask each other how they knew Luffy later. No, look, I found this in one of the garbage at the town. Luffy lies as he gives the poster to Kaya and Usopp. The two gasped in shock and fear. And no, this can't be, Kaya stuttered. But it was too much alike. The only thing different was the claws and the bloodthirst in Kuro's eyes. As much as she wanted to say that the poster was a fake, it was obvious it came from the Marines. So, Klahad Kuro is, Usopp trembles slightly, not wanting to show he was scared. Luffy felt sorry for the two. The two were still kids after all. The two of you must get out here, fast. Me and my friends will take care of Kuro while you guys should call the Marines. Luffy explained and Usopp's eyes widened. What can you and your friends do? He's a pirate while all of us are just completely normal people who can't pack a punch, Usopp says while Kaya nods. Luffy chuckles darkly, making the two have shivers go down their spine. Oh, don't worry, it won't be me having the pain. Luffy points at the town using his chin. For now, you guys can hide at the inn. I'll lead you guys there. Lock your door, Kaya. Kaya nods and follows what Luffy said. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O, Luffy? Who are these two? Corazon asks as he was very confused. He and Law just waked up a moment ago and they were not ready for any kind of problems that will show up. Don't mind them, for now, keep them safe. I found a pirate disguising as a butler at my friend's house, and I don't like it one bit. Luffy growls while Law sighs and nods. Kaya and Usopp look at each other before taking the phone. They're gonna call the police and I'm going to do this fast. Look after them. Luffy explained before abruptly going out and locking the door, surprising Kaya and Usopp. No, Luffy. Usopp ran to the door and tried to open the door. It's no use, let him go berserk as much as he wants. Law says coolly, making the Usopp and Kaya look at them incredulously. Are you heartless? Luffy's a normal person and there's no way he can't fight Clawhead Kuro. Kaya shouts in anger while Law glares at her. He's stronger than you think. Now call the Marines before I do something horrible. Law sighs and eats with Corazon, guarding the two kids who were frightened as hell. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Luffy walks towards the entrance, meeting two bodyguards. Before the bodyguards could say something, Luffy continues walking, using Conqueror's Haki to every person but Kuro. He follows Kuro's presence, alone in the kitchen. He slams the door and before Kuro could turn, he mercilessly tortures Kuro with his fists and kicks. This is for everything you've done. Luffy whispers with disgust obvious in his eyes. Kuro opened his eyes a little, seeing the straw hat. Luffy. That was the only thing he saw before being completely unconscious. Well, that escalated quickly. After finishing, he doesn't turn back and returns to the inn. He ignores the weird looks he got since he had some blood in his hands and sandals. He enters the inn and completely goes into his room, surprising the four. I always kept telling you to knock first. Corazon scolds before sighing and rubbing his head, talking about a migraine. Whoa, Luffy. That's. Usopp gets cut off by Luffy, who grinned at him. A complete 180 degrees changes. It's alright. Luffy reassures Usopp. He looks at Kaya, who showed her worry and fear all over her face. Kaya, I actually have a favor to ask of you, Luffy says, a sad smile on his face. Oh, it's alright. While I'm sad to know that Clawhead Kuro was only using me probably because of my money, I'm thankful you saved me, Kaya says with a smile on her face. Oh, okay. Luffy pauses. I actually need a ship because when I come back, I'm going to sail all over the world. Usopp gasped, he can't mean. It's okay, I'll give you going merry. Kaya clasps her hands together in happiness for repaying his savior, though this was probably not enough. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. After a while, Kaya along with her now awake butler, Mary, shows them going merry. Mary didn't stop thanking Luffy and the two. It actually didn't stop until Law finally got enough and threatened that if he didn't stop saying thank you, he would actually stab the man with his scalpel, and it worked. Hey, Usopp. Usopp hums and turns to Luffy, who had a grin on his face. Yeah, what is it? Usopp wasn't going to question why Luffy was going to become a pirate. He knew it was Luffy's dream, he wasn't going to stop him. Join my crew. Luffy says bluntly while Usopp choked at his own saliva. Why Usopp looks at Luffy. He was serious. Usopp looks at Kaya, who was talking to Mary. As much as Luffy didn't want to pressure the little guy, he has to go. 3 months is almost over. Usopp takes a deep breath, he knew Kaya would understand. Alright, I'll wait when you come again. Luffy grins and cheers. At least, everything was alright. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Bye everyone, Luffy shouts, waving at everyone. See you soon, Usopp. Alas, the island became a blur. Luffy sighs, looking at the two. Well, we're finally going to my island. Be Brogy, Dory. Nami shouts in surprise as she sees Brogy and Dory on the ground. She makes her hands turn into a fist in anger. If only she wasn't weak, she wouldn't have become a burden on the whole crew and Luffy. Just seeing Dory and Brogy suffering was enough to make her feel a burden, especially that she's stuck in some kind of pillar. Perhaps I underestimated the extent of a giant's power. Mr. 3 pauses, sweating a little. I never would have imagined he could break my candle jacket. Brogy looks at him with a fierce glare. It seems that I must completely restrain your entire body. Suddenly, something big forms in Mr. 3's right arm. Doru Arts. Sword. After forming completely, He stabs it in one of Brogy's arm, blood going out. Now stay still. While Nami once called out for Brogy's name in worry, Dory bites his lips in anger. He couldn't move and he was losing blood fast. Apparently, the damned candleman saw right through his acts and also restrained him. Move and your arms and legs will be torn off. Mr. 3 shouts sadistically as he laughs, placing one sword in each arm and leg of Brogy. Brogy screams in pain, his vision widening as he was in the brink of passing out. Nami looks in pain at Brogy. She was useless. If only I asked Luffy more to train me than to just make him force me to, Nami thought in anger at herself. Speed up, my candle service, Mr. 3 suddenly says as a line shoots out in Mr. 3's arms. Hurry up and turn all of them into wax figures. The line connects to the pillar Nami was stuck into, making the wax on top suddenly spin faster. The mist of the wax goes down to them rapidly, making Nami cough. Oh no, the mist of the wax is getting in my lungs. At this rate, I'll turn into a wax figure from inside my body, Nami thought in horror, coughing repeatedly. Mr. 3 laughs, yes, suffer as much as you can until you die. Mr. 3 shouts sadistically, making Nami turn to him into terror. Your expression of pain and anguish is the art I seek, harden away into wax and terror. Art. You're depraved, Nami shouts as she points at Brogy. How could you do such an inhumane thing to Brogy? Nami says in anger and fear, coughing at the end. Foo ha 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 ha. Yes. Scream in desperation as much as you want, Mr. 3 shouts while crossing his arms, Miss Goldenweek in his side, doing nothing. 100 years. Brogy thought, his face showing disbelief. Day after day, we fought and fought, endlessly fighting and fighting. Our duel was sustained by our pride born from Elbaf. Brogy shakes a little, his eyes burning. If this is how the two of us meet our end then, Elbaf, Brogy's tears fall down, huffing. Art thou not too cruel, why will you not let us die in battle? Dory coughs, laughing as he looks at the others, making everyone look at him. You fool, Dory starts, looking at Mr. 3. He will come soon, and he will see how you make his nakama suffer, Dory says while laughing, coughing blood a little. I hoped I would have been the one to make you feel despair and pain, but it seems like that cannot happen. What nonsense are you saying? Mr. 3 says while looking at Dory in confusion. Have you lost your sanity because of the pain? Mr. 3 pauses, shrugging it off. Well, whatever. Still, those two are really late, are they testing my patience? Meanwhile, Nami was biting her lip in happiness. If Luffy could save them, she sure would ask for a lot of training to become stronger so that she wouldn't let them down anymore. If I get out in here, I'll make sure I'll beat your body after my captain is done. Mr. 3 laughs, the two of you are really funny. Me? Beaten? Suffer? Are you two really hoping that I would someday feel that? Nami pays no mind to him, instead, she tries hard to move even one bit at her hardened body. Dory and Brogy grin. The three of them laughs and looks at Mr. 3 with determination. You sure will. Enraged, Mr. 3 glares at them and speeds up the candle service faster, making Nami feeling harder to breathe along with the two giants. You got a weird head there, Mr. 3. Someone suddenly says as Mr. 3 whips his head in anger. Nami grins in happiness as the two giants followed. Who said that? Come out and I'll kill you slowly, Mr. 3 says as something forms in his right arm once again. The man chuckles as he goes out of the shadow, along with a long nose and a certain princess. I should say that the same to you, Luffy says darkly with a frown. He looks at Nami and the two giants with a sad look. I'm sorry that I didn't come sooner, some guys gave me trouble. And no, it's alright, I should say the same, Nami says as she stutters. Can't think of any words as she was happy just seeing Luffy there. It gives her relief. Jay just beat the living daylife out of them and break this pillar before we turn into a wax figurine. Luffy grins while Usopp and Vivi show their weapons, looking intently at the two. My pleasure. Luffy looks at Usopp. I suppose you can help the three get out? Sure thing, that's no problem. Usopp stutters, his legs shaking furiously. As long as I'm not fighting anyone. I can take care of Miss Goldenweek, Vivi says with courage, looking at Miss Goldenweek, who looked back at her. Luffy nods before walking towards Mr. 3. Ha, you think you can beat me alone? Mr. 3 says mockingly as Luffy grins, making Mr. 3 surprised. Oh, I will beat you alone. Luffy says as he internally cursed at himself. Ever since the fight, he's been giddy, it's like his old persona came back. Let's get started then, shall we? Mr. 3 says in anger, locking Luffy's two legs. Candle lock. Luffy looks at the lock with a blank face before smirking. Isn't this pretty nice? Luffy says as he breaks them easily without moving an inch. Too bad it's not strong. He picks one up, ignoring Mr. 3's gobsmacked face, and threw it at the upper part of the pillar. He did it! Nami shouts in happiness. The candle pillar is Dester. Nami's voice slowly goes to mute. Usopp looks at the falling wax in fear, his jaw going down at the pillar. After the wax falling, it was a good thing that it didn't fell down literally at them. We're alive, Nami says with a sigh. Usopp, who was trying to break down the wax that was locking Nami up, was hyperventilating and was breaking the wax faster than anyone could. Nami coughs while Usopp feels the wax on his back. He freezes. When Luffy was about to pick up the other side to completely break it, Luffy feels another wax on his back. Now that you made the process faster, I won't let you destroy that chance now, Mr. 3 says before laughing. Luffy sighs, destroying the wax, surprising Mr. 3 once again. Before another second could pass, Luffy suddenly goes behind him and chops his neck, making Mr. 3 unconscious. Not saying a word, Luffy goes to the wax only to sense Vivi's distress. El Luffy ni, Vivi says as Luffy looks at her, seeing her drinking tea, murmuring that the tea was great. Trying your hypnosis on her, Miss Goldenweek, Luffy says before Miss Goldenweek looks at him. Yes. I can't have you breaking that or Mr. 3 will get angry at me, Miss Goldenweek says as Luffy frowns. Before Luffy could say anything, he feels uninterested. Whatever happened, Luffy was sure Miss Goldenweek used her hypnosis on him. Luffy cursed as he couldn't move, nor use his haki. Luffy curses as he probably couldn't use haki due to his disinterest and subconsciousness didn't want to use it. Luffy, we don't have any time left, so hurry up and do something about this thing, Nami shouts impatiently as she, Usopp, and the two giants were turning into a figurine at an alarming speed. Yeah, I know, Luffy says while the two looked at him in disbelief. If you know, then hurry the hell up, Nami says angrily before Luffy sighs and glares fiercely at her. Shut it. What's it to you if I don't want to help you? Luffy says coldly. After a moment, Nami and Usopp figured it out. This wasn't Luffy. Miss Goldenweek. What D Nami says before coughing. Miss Goldenweek just looks at her with a blank face, munching on some biscuit. Colors trap, betrayal black. Miss Goldenweek started, munching as if nothing bad was happening. Touch the black painting and you'll want to betray your friends no matter how important they're to you. No, Luffy suddenly says as the attention was unto him. I'm stronger than this, goddammit. To everyone's surprise, his legs started walking backwards. El Luffy, Usopp shouts in fear as he coughs. He was completely locked at the position he was in. Seeing this made Luffy angrier. A kid is a kid, but killing his nakama was going too far. He wouldn't let that happen ever again. With all his might, he takes a sudden backward, getting out with a gasp. Before Miss Goldenweek could paint again, Luffy takes out a small amount of haki and effectively makes Miss Goldenweek pass out. Usopp, Nami, Luffy murmurs before destroying the whole pillar while holding the two. Something's definitely strange, Sanji says as he places his hand on his chin. Really damn strange. Sanji adds as well frowns. I've been waiting here forever, but nobody's come back yet. Sanji dramatically gasps. Don't tell me something happened to Nami Swan and Vivi-chan. If that's the case, then now's not the time for me to prepare cooking this lizard. He goes out of the ship, stepping on the dead dinosaur he took. Alright, I'll go look for them. When he went to a random direction, he kept shouting for them. Nami Swan. Sanji shouts while the grass rustles. A low growl is heard. Vivi-chan. Sanji turns as he sees a large tiger with sharp fangs, roaring at him. He. Say something back if you can hear me. Sanji shouts as he was riding the large tiger who was beaten horribly. I love you. A white box-like place piques his interest. He goes down to the ground, making the poor tiger go away as fast as the poor animal can. What's this? Luffy hurriedly looked at Nami and Usopp, who was coughing and still had some wax at them. He curses and looks at the wax pillar that was still running. He took the chance to use Red Hawk and also burn some of the wax near them, effectively taking it out in one hit. He hurriedly looks at the two giants. Good, they were also caught in it and the wax was out. The two giants coughed. Luffy took it as a good sign and looks at Nami and Usopp, who was also coughing. He sighed as the adrenaline went out in his body. He hurriedly went to Nami and Usopp. Thanks, Lu. Usopp couldn't finish what he was about to say when Luffy hugged the two of them, surprising the two. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, Luffy says softly, the bad memories replaying slowly in his mind as he's shaking a little. Meanwhile, Usopp and Nami were surprised. Luffy was tall, strong in many ways, sometimes stupid and smart. This Luffy surprised them too much. This kind of situation made Luffy look like a small child, scared of letting go at something important. Nami shakes a little, feeling like she was about to tear up. She doesn't know why, but seeing Luffy like this made her feel like crying. Idiot, we should be saying that. She hugs Luffy while trying not to tear up. Yeah, I couldn't even do something simple as taking out Nami at the pillar, Usopp argues before also hugging Luffy. Luffy knew he was acting weird, out of his character. but the replays of the bad memories and seeing the two of his nakama almost die all because of his stupidity made him extremely guilty, sad, and many feelings that would surely haunt him forever. The two giants move, taking out the three out of their trance. Luffy stands up, trying to shake the feelings away and places his big cardigan to the two that had some parts of their clothes burnt, and buttoned it to make sure that the Kestia would not bite Nami and Usopp, and he wouldn't mind if it was him. He checks Vivi, who was looking down with her fists holding the picnic blanket tightly. I couldn't do a thing. She pauses. I'm sorry. Luffy knee, I'm so useless. No, listen to me, Vivi. Luffy says seriously as he kneels down, and places his hand on Vivi's shoulder. You did great, you held her back. Thank you for helping me, Vivi. With that, Vivi looks at him as he pats Vivi's hair. Next thing he did was to check at the two giants. Want me to take the knives away? Luffy asks teasingly while the two laughs before coughing out blood. Of course, Brogy says while grinning before coughing once again. Luffy takes each of the knives in ease and making Brogy sometimes shout a little in pain. Ah, wait a second. Sanji suddenly goes out of his trance. He was sitting with a coffee in hand. Now's not the time for me to be fashionably enjoying tea. Sanji pauses. Nami and the others might be waiting for me to rescue them. Sanji swiftly stands up and opens the door. Ah, damn it. I wonder why there's a nice relaxing retreat in the middle of this jungle? Purerururu, huh? Sanji turns around to see the sound coming from a basket. He opens it and grins. Oh, it's a Den Den Mushi. His grin turns into a scowl as he answered the call. Hello, this is the shitty restaurant. Would you like to make a reservation? Don't play around, you imbecile. The man from the other line says, aren't you a little late with your reports? Reports, Sanji says as he crosses his legs. And whom might this be? It's me. Mr. Zero, Dory. Brogy shouted as he was crying and hugging poor Dory. On top of them were rainbows literally forming. Currently, Nami is covering her ears along with everyone while Luffy just stood there, grinning like the madman he is. Even his crying is ear-splittingly energetic. Nami shouts as she slightly scrunched her face due to the volume. Quack. While Karoo looks like he was about to pass out, Luffy just laughed. My ears, along with Nami, Vivi also slightly scrunched her face. I understand completely, Master Brogy, Usopp shouts as he was also crying, like he was feeling the pain secondhand. I haven't died yet, Brogy, Dory says as he felt like he was about to pass out from the hug. Alright. That's enough, Brogy-san. You're killing him. Luffy shouts while Brogy suddenly flinches and let go, also stopping with his crying. Gegyagyagya, Dory silently cries, also feeling happy that he lived. What a splendid day this is, Brogy shouts, his grinning face back. Let us thank the god of Elbaf. Ha. Dory suddenly slyly grins. If it is about the fight between us, I shall let you know that I went down on purpose. You know that's not the reason, you big old fool. Brogy, playfully, punches the arm of Dory. Ow. Despite the pain, Dory still kept his grin. Stop touching my wounds. Gegyagyagya. Nami sighs in relief as she sees the two laughing with each other. Though she can feel some kind of liquid going down her body, she looks at her legs, surprised to see blood. Blood. She moves a little to see more blood going down. She widens her eyes in surprise. She wore this for a long time and because of the adrenaline, she wasn't able to see this. Don't tell me, clutching her hands, she looks at Luffy. I'll ask for later, this can't be the time to say something gory. You intend to start something. Brogy and Dory suddenly stand up, their hands turning into fists. I intend to crash you flat, alright? Why are you starting to fight already? Nami shouts while Vivi just sweat dropped. If I remember correctly, didn't Vivi-chan say that Mr. Zero was the enemy boss's codename? Sanji thought as he looks at the Den Den Mushi. Which would mean that the man on the other side of this Den Den Mushi right now is. Sanji huffs, causing the smoke to go out. One of the royal Shichibukai. It's already been quite some time since I sent you my orders. Mr. Zero pauses. What is your status, Mr. 3? Mr. 3, so that must be the owner of the Den Den Mushi here. Sanji turns to the side, blowing his cigarette. Alright. I think I understand the current situation now. This is the enemy secret hideout and a guy called Mr. 3 is on this island to hunt down Vivi-chan. Sanji frowns, pausing as he sweats a little. Damn it, I really shouldn't have been caught up in some hunting game. I hope the guys are all safe, TCH. What are you being silent for? I'm asking you a question. All in all, this Mr. Zero's voice had authority. Have you eliminated Princess Vivi and the Straw Hat Pirates or not? Sanji takes out his cigarette and places the transmitter near his mouth. Yes, I've carried out my mission all right. Sanji closes his eyes and slightly smiles. All the people who know of your secret are now no more, so there is no more need for further pursuit. I see. Good work, Mr. Zero pauses. The unluckies are headed your way right now. Once they confirm your mission success, they'll hand you a certain package. The unluckies? Sanji repeats as he opens his eyes. A package? That's right. An eternal pose to Alabasta. Once you receive it, head to Alabasta with Ms. Goldenweek immediately. The time has come. We must now carry out the most crucial step of our plan. Mr. Zero pauses. You will await further details once you arrive at Alabasta. The hell? Sanji says after distancing himself at the transmitter. The unluckies prepared their weapons, making Sanji a little bit surprised. What's the matter? Sanji sweats a little bit. No, it's N. Before Sanji could continue, Miss Friday, or the Vulture, attacks him. Letting go of the transmitter, he dodges. I don't know what you two are, but Sanji's face gets covered with his hair before showing his harsh eye. Don't you dare try to attack me. With one leg, he kicks the otter, effectively making the otter unconscious. Before the Vulture could attack, he spins midair and twists the Vulture's head. That's good enough. He calmly went to the chair and picked the transmitter once again. What happened? Oh, never mind that. Sanji says as he smiles a little. It's nothing really. One of the Straw Hats turned out to be just barely alive, but I just finished him off for sure, so worry not. One of them was alive. Sanji totally knew this Shichibukai is angry, just by the voice. Didn't you just say, you carried out the mission successfully? Ah, well I thought I had. Sanji puts the cigarette back to his lips. But one of the buggers was a lot more tenacious than I thought. So in short, you had given me a false report at that time. Well, I suppose that's true if you want me to get technical. Sanji pauses. But I really did finish for sure just now. So there's really no need for further pursuit. Capiche, do you understand? Fine, just head for Alabasta straight away then. This will be the last time I contact by Den Den Mushi. I can't afford the Marines to intercept any of our calls. Mr. Zero pauses. From here on, all orders shall be delivered the traditional way. That is all. Godspeed, Mr. 3. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O, Ms. All Sunday, yes? Send Mr. 2 to Little Garden. Mr. Zero pauses. His orders are to lie amidst the route between Alabasta and Little Garden, and assassinate Mr. 3. Rather violent, aren't you, sir? Mr. Zero feed Crocodile. I still have more than enough capable officers. Do you really wish to talk back to me? Robin turns around and walks towards the stairs. No, I'll carry out your orders at once. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. So what the hell were these things? Sanji asks to no one before something piques his interest. An hourglass-like device with only one orb in the middle of the device, and a needle floating inside of the orb. This is O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Gababa-baba. Brogy pauses, a grin plastered on his face. You little ones really helped us out back there. If there's anything we can do to thank you. G-E-G-Y-A-G-Y-A-G-Y-A-G-Y-A. Dory laughs as he was laying on the huge dinosaur bone. I had completely forgotten about the bounties placed on our heads. But even so, Vivi makes a downcast expression. It's originally my fault. Vivi pauses, that those agents came to this island. Suddenly, Nami pinches her right cheek. OWW. Don't say that, Nami says as she sighs as if she was lecturing a child. You shouldn't worry too much, you know? Zoro suddenly appears out of nowhere while eating a senbei. Wait, where the heck did you get those from? Nami asks before suddenly realizing something. She strides towards the back of Zoro before knocking him. And where the hell were you? That hurts, you witch. Zoro shouts as he nurses the bump on his head. See, nobody here blames you for anything. Nami says as she ignores Zoro's words. She turns to Zoro for a second. You owe me 1,000 belly for that. Before Zoro could complain, Usopp slides towards them before putting a senbei up. Alright, time for a senbei party. Usopp shouts as all of them goofs around, except Zoro and Luffy. Unbeknownst to them, Vivi looked at them with happiness. And with Luffy, he was oddly quiet, it's just that no one noticed him yet. Luffy knew it, and he was happy he was the one who was bitten and not Nami. The moment that damn insect bit him, he stumbled, on the brink of losing his consciousness. It was for sure. Luffy felt too sick. Unlike Nami from the former timeline that was healthy, he wasn't. He did know that being insomniac is a very large disadvantage for him. He thought he could take it. Oh, how wrong he was. He can't even last a minute without feeling like puking and on the verge of losing all of his consciousness. He can already taste the blood inside his mouth. It sickened him how pathetic he was. Luffy, he just wants to lie down and sleep just today, a special case. But he just can't do it, there's still much more. Hey, Luffy. But, just a little nap, just a little. Luffy's eyes snapped open due to Nami's worried voice. He can feel Nami's hands on both of his shoulder. He looks up to see Nami's worried and panicked eyes. What's wrong with you? Internally screaming profanities at himself, he forces himself to stand up and grin. Don't worry about it, Nami. Luffy says as he pats Nami's head. Oh ho, so, what were we talking about then? Nami says as she makes an unimpressed face. Luffy awkwardly laughs before looking at his surrounding. Only then he saw Zoro's look. Oh, that look. He hates how Zoro can tell. She. Luffy just rubbed the back of his neck and did his best not to puke and look like dying. Nami sighs as she crosses her arms. She feels weird, like something's wrong with Luffy. Definitely. We were talking about how we got an eternal pose to Alabasta. Waiting for Luffy's cheer in. 1, 2, 3, it never came. Everyone looked at him worriedly. Nami looks up to see Luffy dazed. He wasn't listening. Heck, it didn't need 3 seconds for Luffy to cheer. He would do it on the spot. So something's definitely weird. Before she could hit Luffy in anger and worry, Zoro stops her hand. Captain, something's wrong. Luffy snaps out of his dazed state. And yes, it wasn't a question, it was a statement. Nothing's wrong, Luffy says as he grips on his straw hat tightly. Zoro scrunches his eyes a little before nodding. It took some excruciating silence before Luffy breaks it. Alright then, Dory-san. Brogy-san. Luffy grins at them. We'll be taking off now. I see, busy lil buggers, aren't y'all? Brogy says while Luffy nods and stumbles a little bit, making all of them look at him. It's a shame but we won't ask you to stay any longer. Dory pauses as he looks at Vivi. I hope your country's safe, girl. Thank you. Vivi says as she smiles at him. Oh, you guys go on. Luffy suddenly says making all of them look at him once again. I need to tell something to them, go on. With the last worried looks of his nakama, they went out. So, what is it that you want to tell us? Dory says before being surprised along with Brogy when Luffy made a serious face. It felt like Luffy never made that kind of face. It immediately made a piercing tension around them. It's about your country, Elbaf. Luffy says bluntly as he sits. The 2 giants were more interested, and somehow they felt uneasy. What's wrong with our country? Dory says as he removes the smile on his face. Brogy didn't, but his smile faltered. If you can, please go visit your country. Before the 2 giants can open their mouth, Luffy quickly stopped them. Elbaf village was enveloped in a sea of flames. Brogy suddenly stands up and looks at him as if he was insane. The citizens worked to rebuild the damage, though some giants did not make it. I don't know if some giants are still there, but if there is, ask them yourself. Luffy gets up and turns his back on the giants, who had horrified faces. But, after my long journey along with my crew, I will free 2 giants that will also venture towards Elbaf. Not letting the 2 talk, he leaves. Our friends are setting sail, Brogy suddenly says as he looks at the jungle. As much as I want to ask that man many things, we can't leave them to fend for themselves. Dory pauses. Even though we know that man can kill that monster easily, let's do this to not make them waste any time. Dory, how are your wounds? Brogy asks as he looks at the bandaged wounds. HMPH, it's nothing serious, Dory says as he also stands up, a grin plastered on his face. I guess this is it for my axe and your sword, isn't it? Brogy says as he takes his axe, a little bit of sorrowful expression seen on his face. Having trouble letting go? Dory asks as he also takes his sword. Course I do. This is the axe I've fought with for over 100 years. But even so, Brogy grins. A determination plastered on his face. If it's for their sake, I have no regrets. Then it's decided. Dory says with the same expression as Brogy. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Look, my lizard is clearly bigger. Sanji shouts as he grits his teeth in anger and pointing at what he killed. Are your eyes just for show or something? Zoro retorts. Doing the same thing Sanji's doing. The bigger animal is my rhino. Suddenly Luffy shows up with grin. Let me cut it for you guys. Both of them looks tasty and big to me. Luffy's right. How long are you 2 going to bicker? Let Luffy cut it to pieces so we can carry it little by little. Nami says as she pauses before looking at Luffy. What did you tell them? Nothing you should be worried about. Luffy says as he pats Nami's head once again. Nami didn't care about Sanji swooning at the background. She focused on what was in front of her. Luffy looked paler than normal. He was sweating and she can see Luffy was heating up badly. It wasn't normal. Before she could open her mouth, Luffy shushed her. Don't tell this about anyone. It's a normal thing to get fever once in a while. I'll get better fast. Just keep it a secret to everyone so they won't do anything stupid. Nami just nods though she was still unsure of her answer. Her guts were telling her that her captain was hiding something, yet she would rather trust her captain. If we sail straight from here, we should be able to exit on the western side of the island. Wait, where's Luffy? Zoro almost shouts in a panicked tone, making everyone worried 10 times worse than before. Stupid, I'm here. Luffy teases as he forces a grin as he flicks Zoro's forehead. Why are you even hiding your haki? Zoro asks after trying to chop Luffy into pieces. Nothing, just wanted to. Zoro frowned. His guts are telling him it's a lie. Don't look at me like that. Luffy whined before coughing. Luffy knee, Vivi looks at Luffy in worry, though Luffy immediately grinned at them before looking in front. Looks like the giants came to see us off. Luffy says after internally praising himself for the smooth dodge and how perfect the giants came. The two giants were looking straight ahead the ocean, the most important reason why all the little ones who come to this island. While Brogy pauses, Dory continued the speech. Do not reach the next island lies straight ahead. What? Nami says with a confused expression, mostly on what the giants said. You all risked your life so that our pride can remain untarnished. Dory as their eyes were shadowed with a grin. Thus, in return, Brogy pauses with his arms crossed, no matter the foe. We must not let your flag of pride be tarnished either, Dory. Trust in us and sail straight ahead. No matter what happens, sail only straight ahead, Brogy. What are they? Before Zoro could continue, Luffy cuts him off. Sail straight ahead. Luffy shouts with a serious face. That's right, this measly disease won't stop me. I have to be strong and sail towards Raftel with my nakama safe. Farewell. Dory says as the going merry past them. Let us meet again, Brogy continues with his axe raised. One day in the future. Look. Nami shouts as there was surprise and disbelief on her face as she was pointing straight ahead, up ahead. The sea started raising up as it reveals a long yet large goldfish-like dorsal fins. In the name of Elbaf, Brogy pauses as he makes a serious face. We vowed to clear a path, last time on chapter 46. We must not let your flag of pride be tarnished either, Dory. Trust in us and sail straight ahead. No matter what happens, sail only straight ahead, Brogy. What are they? Before Zoro could continue, Luffy cuts him off. Sail straight ahead. Luffy shouts with a serious face. That's right, this measly disease won't stop me. I have to be strong and sail towards Raftel with my nakama safe. Farewell. Dory says as the going merry past them. Let us meet again, Brogy continues with his axe raised. One day in the future. Look. Nami shouts as there was surprise and disbelief on her face as she was pointing straight ahead, up ahead. The sea started raising up as it reveals a long yet large goldfish-like dorsal fins. In the name of Elbaf, Brogy pauses as he makes a serious face. We vowed to clear a path. Luffy coughs, blood going out as he turns pale. Thankfully, everyone is still focused on the island eater, an enormous fish, rivaling the size of even the most massive of sea kings. It resembled a typical white red-colored goldfish, with protruding eye sockets and a wide mouth that had a set of large teeth. What is that thing? Is it a sea king? Grab the helm or we're going to be swallowed alive. Nami shouts in panic while looking at Usopp, who's gripping the railings tightly and is murmuring some things. Usopp, hurry. Karoo quacks, almost as if he was saying the same thing. I won't, Usopp shouts back, even if he was shaking, his determination stays still. We'll be going straight ahead. Luffy immediately hid the blood that he kept coughing since he knew what's going to happen next. Alright Luffy. Yup, you bet. Luffy chirps, hiding the intense pain that keeps getting stronger each second. Don't be ridiculous. This is completely different than getting swallowed by Laboon. Nami argues, shouting at Luffy, who winced at the volume. Yeah, just pipe down already. Luffy internally punched his own self for unconsciously making it somehow cold, like his former persona. Here, I'll even give you the last senbei. I don't need any senbei. Nami pauses, an angry expression all over her face. If we don't turn around this ship around this instant, we'll... Nami, Zoro starts while leaning on the wall, his arms crossed and eyes shadowed. Give it up already. Karoo immediately goes inside, his faith in living going down like a falling anvil. Main. Nami munches the senbei Luffy gave her, causing her words to sound incoherent. Luffy, you sure those giants are trustworthy, right? Sanji shouts, sweat forming on his face. Luffy coughs, yeah, he immediately coughs more secretly when Sanji turned his head somewhere else. Are you serious? Vivi shouts in disbelief, pointing at the island eater. We're really going straight into that monster? Oh no, Nami shouts, taking everyone's attention to her except Luffy. It's too late to do anything now. While some were shouting, one of Luffy's knee fell towards the ground, his hands gripping on the railing tightly while the other one is for his mouth to cover the blood, even though it's already leaking. Damn Kestia and their goddamn virus. With that, he falls unconscious. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. What? Luffy jolts up, rubbing her forehead. What? It's here once again. The nightmare he wanted so much to avoid. This is a dream, Luffy says to himself, panicking slowly. The disembodied bodies, the blood all over his body, the fires. God help him if he wouldn't be able to become sane the moment he wakes up. Like a mantra, he keeps murmuring that it's a dream and closes his eyes tight. Like there was someone pulling him, he walks towards Akainu. That damn dog. You weak pirates shouldn't even lie. Akainu traps him, the magma going down and slowly going down to his body. Evil has no place in this world. Go die you damn do. Like someone covered his mouth. He can't make any noises. He suddenly falls down deeper on the ground. Suddenly, whiteness covered the whole place while he sat up once again. A dream, wake up already, you fool, saying to himself, the place suddenly looks like Marineford. No. He can see himself crying and shouting pathetically, his brother's body on the ground. Luffy closes his eyes shut, gripping onto his hair tightly. Wake up, wake up. Thank you. Luffy's eyes go wide and suddenly sees Ace on his shoulder. He looks at his hands once again, blood. For loving me, with the fall. He shakes uncontrollably and tears falling with no stop. It's a dream, Luffy sniffs, looking at Ace's smile. A dream, he covers his face with his bloodied hands, trying to cover the tears. Ace, shouting Ace's name, again and again, the last words of Ace kept repeating in his thoughts. Blackness covered him, only left him and Ace's body. I'm sorry. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O with a gasp. Luffy jolts up and an incredible pain invites him. Luffy, you're finally awake, Nami shouts, happiness surging through her as she clasped her hands with Luffy's. Don't move too much, Luffy knee. You have an extremely high fever, just lay down, Vivi says in worry, softly placing her hands in Luffy's chest to let Luffy fall on the soft bed. TCH, having women around you worrying, that's cheating you shitty straw hat, Sanji shouts, making Luffy wince. Sanji, Nami warns with a smile, making Sanji gulp in nervousness. Luffy touches his face to see tears on his hand. You've been thrashing around and crying, Vivi says while leaning on the wall, his arms crossed once again. You were also shouting, Ace, and other names. I'm sorry, Luffy says as his eyes were shadowed. For seeing me in this pathetic and weak state, all of them looks at Luffy with a frown on their face. Luffy knee, Vivi softly says while Luffy coughs horribly, causing them to panic. It's alright, Luffy forces a smile before becoming into a coughing mess once again. It's not alright, Nami says before arranging the blanket. Just don't talk and sleep. This sickness of yours is really high so it must be painful, right? Nami pauses as everyone nods in agreement. I won't talk, but I also won't sleep, before everyone could open their mouth. Luffy cuts them off. Since I'm anemic and I would have nightmares. Luffy just laughs a little before closing his eyes, but his panting and coughing still don't stop. Usopp looks at Vivi, so, do you know how this happened? It must be from the climate change, Vivi pauses as sweat falls down from her forehead. The one obstacle that all sailors who enter Grand Line will crash into sooner or later, Vivi frowns, a serious expression on her face. Is sickness caused by the abnormal climate? Quietness engulfed the whole room, the tension getting bigger and bigger. No matter how famous or strong of a pirate you are, helplessly dying at the hands of such illnesses is a common occurrence here in Grand Line. Even the slightest symptoms can lead to death if ignored. Vivi turns her head to the others. Isn't there anyone on this ship with some medical knowledge? Everyone points at Nami, who got surprised. Hey, I may know some medical knowledge, but this kind of symptoms and intensity is something I don't know. It's out of my league, but I'll still try to figure it out. But this is Luffy, right? I'm sure you'll get better with meat, right? Usopp spluttered while looking at everyone, face-palming at him. That's Luffy's logic, Usopp. Sanji deadpanned before looking back at Luffy. Well, I obviously plan on giving him nutritious meals that are enough to digest even for a sick person, but Sanji looks down, almost looking frustrated. Even all that only goes so far as to be called nursing. Sanji puffs out smoke, unconsciously placing his hand at his head and ruffle his hair. It may not actually cure him. Sanji turns to Usopp, and in the first place, when it comes to preparing meals for Nami Swan and Vivi-chan, I put 100 times more effort than for the rest of you lot. I only use the freshest meat, cook a perfectly balanced meal for them. He lazily points at Usopp. The leftover scraps and ingredients on the verge of spoiling are then given to you. What? In any case, as long as I'm the chef on this ship, there won't be related to malnutrition or such. Sanji pauses, looking at Luffy once again. So if someone is still sick, then that's because of a completely different illness. And unless I know what that is, I won't know what type of meal to prepare would be best either. F48 degrees. Vivi shouts in disbelief as she looks at Luffy in worry. His fever rose again. There should be doctors in Alabasta, right? Usopp pauses. Just how much longer until we get there, Vivi? I don't know, but it'll definitely be more than a week. Vivi shouts in frustration while placing her hand on the bed. Is being sick really that painful? Usopp asks while looking towards Sanji. Dunno, can't say I've ever been sick myself, Sanji says while tilting his head and his arms crossed. Are you people even human? Vivi and Nami shout while looking at Sanji and Usopp with disbelief. Of course it's painful. A 48-degree fever almost never happens. In fact, it's enough to even put her life at a very serious risk. While the others were talking, Luffy groaned a little and coughs. What Nami had experienced is really painful. Luffy thought as he looks at everyone with a smile, she must have been through a lot. We have to go find a doctor and save Luffy right away, Usopp shouts while looking at Luffy with worry. Yes, I know, so just calm down or you might aggravate her condition further. Vivi says while Nami punches Sanji and Karoo to shut them up. Number, Luffy says and took everyone's attention. He gets up, coughing. Luffy knee. You can't, before Vivi could continue. Luffy scrunches his eyes and it immediately told everyone that he was serious about his answer. Nami, you know why, right? Luffy looks at Nami, who frowned and just looked away. The newspaper on top of your desk. While Zoro was sitting on top of the railing with a huge dumbbell in one hand. He dozes off for a second before shaking his head and continues. Luffy, you. Zoro pauses, looking at the sky. What are you hiding? Wah. Vivi's eyes widen in shock as she holds the newspaper tightly. Sweat was also falling down from her forehead. What is it? Usopp asks while looking at Vivi, who stayed in her place. Is it about Alabasta, Vivi-chan? Sanji asks while he stayed in his place, waiting for an answer from a stunned Vivi. That can't be. Vivi let out a breath that she didn't know she was holding. 300,000 soldiers of the Royal Armed Forces switched sides to join the rebels. Vivi pauses. Originally, the 600,000 strong Royal Armed Forces could contain the rebels who were only 400,000 strong. But now the situation is completely opposite, isn't it? Luffy weakly says as he looks at everyone. With that, the situation in Alabasta has entered its most critical phase, Nami says bitterly as she looks down. She knows it, and no matter how many times she could think of a way to help, it was futile. And that was the paper from 3 days ago. Luffy breathed out, a solemn look on his face. We have no more time to worry about me. I'll get better soon. How can you get better with a serious fever as that? Vivi shouts as she soon calms down when she saw Luffy wince a little. Luffy knee. Everything suddenly went quiet, a heavy atmosphere surrounding the room. No one talked, things were too out of hand. Don't worry, Luffy says as he grins at them. That old thermometer's broken anyway. Luffy stands up, making everyone worry. There's no way a person would have a fever of 48 degrees. Before Luffy would go out, he turns his head to them with a grin. Besides, I'm Luffy, there's nothing to worry about. As he left and closed the door, everyone was still quiet. After a while, Nami coughs. Sorry for not showing you the paper. Nami pauses, a frown still on her face. I didn't want to worry you any further since we were already sailing as fast as we could. Vivi shakes her head and looks at Nami. No, it's alright. At this rate, there'll be a full-blown war with much bloodshed. She looks at the newspaper with a horrified face like before. If I can't stop this, then it's all over for the kingdom of Alabasta. It'll be taken over by Crocodile. Vivi sits on the bed, hiding her distressed face by covering it with the newspaper. It's not good enough to just return alive anymore. If I can't get back soon enough, then 1 million of my people will be killing each other for no good reason. What were you even looking at? Nami shouts at Zoro, who kept a poker face. It has been a while and she thought to look what was happening outside, only to find themselves in a wrong direction. What do you mean what? The ship's still heading straight. Yes, but you need to be looking at the log's needle. I can still tell the direction just fine since we're heading for that big cloud over there. Clouds can move and change shape, you know, Nami snaps before she searches for any sign of Luffy. And where did Luffy go? Zoro looks at her, he went to his room. Zoro looks straight once again, a frown on his face, yet Nami decided to ignore it. Nami, with her amazing senses, immediately senses the change of atmosphere. The atmosphere change. Huh? Zoro looks at her. A look that says, what are you saying? The weather's been clear all day. Nami groans and slaps the back of Zoro's head. Just call everyone here, will you? That's hurt, you witch. Hey, all of you, we've got work to do. Come out. Everyone immediately goes out except Vivi. Take the helm and steer for south. Sanji sighs. What? I don't feel like taking orders from you. Just shut up and do it. Lower the sails so we can catch wind from port side. Zoro says as he looks at Usopp, who didn't need to look at him to know. Got it, Usopp says while Zoro follows him, intending to help Usopp. After Sanji finishes, Nami strides toward him. Sanji, I have a request. What is it, Nami Swan? Sanji says as he starts doing the noodle dance with hearts in his eyes. Can you come with me to look at Luffy? I have a bad feeling, Nami says as Sanji immediately agrees. Zoro. I have a feeling that there's going to be a strong wind, it's coming from ahead. Got that. Zoro shouts as he immediately looks straight ahead, ready to warn others if problems come. While Sanji and Nami walked towards Luffy's room, none of them talked. The place seems so dark and eerie, they would question how a bright person like Luffy can handle the place. As they reach Luffy's door, Nami knocks. Luffy, they could see even inside was dark. After a while of no answers, Sanji becomes worried and kicks the door, breaking it. Both of them didn't care about the damage they caused. They were worried, though Sanji doesn't show it. Nami turns the light on and the two of them were suddenly struck both in amazement and surprise as they look at Luffy's room. Everything was clean. There were a lot of bookshelves and Nami can see it was thoroughly arranged. What really amazed them is that in a long horizontal shelf they found on a wall that is supported by glass have many log poses inside and the other half with a log pose like watch that is also a lot. Everything amazed the two. Wait, Nami suddenly shouts, taking them out of their trance. This isn't the time to be amazed. Where's Luffy? Suddenly, the two found themselves looking everywhere. Nami opens the door to Luffy's bathroom and gasps in shock, getting Sanji's attention. Have you found something, Nami Swan? Sanji soon widens his eyes in shock. Luffy was laying on the ground, blood on his hand and another one that seems to come out in his mouth. Without a word, Sanji carries Luffy bride style and stumbles a LNG about fucking huge and fucking heavy people. After Sanji and Name placed Luffy back on the girl's cabin where it would be safer and less eerie, they came back outside to see what was going on. I have to. Vivi folds the newspaper, return as soon as possible. She goes out, leaving the newspaper behind. I have a request to ask all of you. Vivi says after going out. Everyone stays quiet and looks at her. I know that it's not my place to make such demands since you've already let me on this boat and all. Vivi pauses, looking down at the ground. But with this emerging crisis in my country, I want to go there as soon as possible. She looks at them with a determined face. Not even a single moment can be spared anymore. That's why I asked this ship to head for Alabasta at the fastest speed. Zoro's sure one of his veins snapped in anger. He kept his solemn face on, but he still held on to hope that he was wrong. Even Sanji went quiet, everyone did. Thus, we need to find an island with a doctor immediately. Zoro makes a small smile, happy that what he thought was completely different. We have to see to it that Luffy knee gets better as fast as possible, and then head for Alabasta. Vivi pauses, a smile plastered on her face. That'll be the only way this ship can sail at the fastest speed, right? Usopp raises his eyebrow while looking at Vivi. You sure? Aren't you worried about the lives of a million Alabastans, being a princess and all? Exactly. Vivi pauses as she looks at Usopp. That's why we need to get Luffy knee to a doctor as quickly as possible. Well said, Vivi-chan, Sanji says as he lightly grins. I've fallen for you all over again. Zoro only huffs and wears a slight smirk. Suddenly, the skies became dark and the waves got stronger. What is THAAAT? Usopp shouted as he shakily pointed at the front. Everyone looks, only to find a cyclone and panics. It's a cyclone. It's huge. Vivi widens her eyes, realizing something. Wait a minute, that direction is. That's exactly where we were headed just until a moment ago, Sanji says as he looked at the cyclone in surprise. If we had sailed straight, we'd have crashed right into it by now, Usopp yells in fear. Talk about a close call. Incredible, a cyclone on the Grand Line said to be impossible to predict, Vivi thought before looking at Nami in amazement. This girl isn't just predicting the weather, based on weather forecast theories, it's almost as if she's directly feeling the minute happenings of the climate itself. I've never seen such a navigator. Alright, let's hurry it up guys, we'll keep heading south to find a doctor. Right. Ignoring the needle pointing to Alabasta. The ship is now on the lookout for a doctor. After one day, Luffy knee's fever isn't going down, Viv says with a downcast expression. Meanwhile, Zoro was in the crow's nest. Hey, Zoro paused. Guys, do you think a person could stand on top of an ocean? As the snows blow violently and cover the skies in white and the blue sea's waves go back and forth. Usopp looks at Zoro in disbelief. Can a person stand on top of an ocean? Usopp repeats what Zoro said and frowns. The heck are you asking, Zoro? Zoro looks once again using the binocular, huffing due to the coldness and the snow resting on his head and shoulder. Then, Zoro pauses. How do you explain that? What? Usopp finally turns back, a warm blanket encasing his figure. He looks for a minute before finally seeing what Zoro saw, and in front of them too, close to them too. A man who is a bit taller than average, water waving and splashing yet stood straight as if he was on land. He has wavy lips and a sad expression. He wears a checkered jester-like green-blue costume with purple lining at the end of the sleeves, a white winter cape with purple lining that he ties against his chest, and gray buttons, with a light brown bow and a bag of arrows on his back. He has dark green pants, and blue shoes with white buckles. The three just looked at each other until the man talked and said, "Quite cold today, isn't it?" Usopp just sweat dropped and looks at him. "Why yeah, for real. It's freezing today." Usopp hesitated, a frown and look of doubt on his face. Is that so? The man replied, his sad expression still there. Raise the ship. Increasing buoyancy. A large round ship erupted on top of the strange man and the water went up along with it. The Going Merry raised up along with the water, causing it to go upwards. Usopp shouts in fear as he went flying straight down. Meanwhile, with Nami and the others, as it shook violently, Sanji automatically raises and grips the bed where Luffy laid. What's all this shaking? Vivi shouts as she stumbles. Hey, if something happens to our captain, I'll have your heads for it, Sanji unconsciously shouted and seemed like he didn't even know that it came out of his mouth. Though, he tried his best to keep the bed still using his foot. Is this thing? Zoro looks at the large object that seemed to go up the ocean, even a ship. What came out was a large round ship, different than most regular ships. Along with the ship's hippopotamus white walkie figurehead, one of the ship's unique features is the large steel plating around the ship, with a star-like pattern. 2 large gears are seen towards the side of the ship. Mahahahaha. A voice resounded loudly, surprised. The person pauses, their Jolly Roger depicts a skull with a round, metallic jaw licking its own lips and wearing a large crown, as well as the standard crossbones located behind it. Has my submersible ambush ship, Tin Can King, left you speechless? Oh crap. Usopp steps back, a cold sweat falling down from his body furiously. A pirate ship. Why now of all times? Zoro grits his teeth as he thinks of Luffy. His captain is dying and they do it now. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. Ace's Vivre card. Pick them, Luffy. Luffy. What? Ace. See what happens. They got Ace. Why? See what you've done, weakling. I'm sorry, what? Ace, what are you saying, Luffy? Listen, Luffy. Don't die again, Ace, thank you for loving me. Of course, this happened once again. It's been too many times, yet he can't still get over it. Because he was a weakling. What are you even fighting for? My nakama are dead. You're shattered, Straw Hat. Luffy knee. Luffy's eyes suddenly opened, hearing Vivi's worried voice. What happened? Luffy asks with a frown, a strong headache currently making him suffer. It was a good thing that his nightmare was short, even if he slept for a long time. Something's happening outside. Nami pauses, a smile on her face. Don't worry, Luffy, they're taking care of it right now, so just rest, okay? Luffy only returns the smile, sits up, immediately feeling a surge of intense pain. I'm going to check. No, Vivi sternly but shortly replies. With narrowed eyes, she crosses her arms. Do you not believe in them? I believe in them, Vivi. Luffy replies as he grins, placing his feet on the ground. That's why, as the captain, I want to be there when they win or lose. Luffy stands up, his feet slightly wobbling. Being alone is more painful than getting hurt, Vivi. Leaving Vivi alone, he goes up, along with his straw hat that he wore after standing up. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. We wish to head for Drunkkingdom. Wapol says as he fully eats a sword he held just a while ago with no worries. On the other hand, Usopp was petrified at what was just revealed to them. Do you happen to have an eternal pose or even a log pose on you? Wapol is an overweight man with an unusual appearance. He has dark violet hair and a cylinder-shaped jaw made up of tin plates, hence his epithet. He wears a dress in tin plate armor and a hooded cape made from white walkie skin. He was also wearing brown thick gloves. He spotted a pair of purple and orange woolen shorts and a brown belt around his waist and a pair of thick short boots. No, Sanji crosses his arms, a bored look on his face, and we've never even heard of that place before. Well, if you don't have it, then I might as well take all your treasures and your ship instead. Wapol nonchalantly says as he holds the merry-going side. What? Usopp shouts in fear and worry as his hands were up in the air. But before Wapol could continue, they immediately sense something, a threatening one. Why don't you eat your own ship than ours? Wapol. Luffy says as he suddenly appears. It's a miracle that he could still bring out a tiny bit of his haki, but it made him a little weak. Luffy. What the hell are you doing here? Sanji and Zoro chorused on their thoughts as they looked at Luffy both in worry and anger. Anger due to Luffy's stubbornness. Wapol's bored look turned into anger. Remembering how he was belittled by him a long time ago. Even if it was years and Luffy's form changed, he still can't forget how he was looked down by him. You. Yes, me, the one and only. Luffy sarcastically says as he resisted to roll his eyes. He held his panting and stayed strong, just so that Wapol wouldn't notice how he was in pain. Attack! Wapol shouts as he points at Luffy, immediately making the soldiers go towards him. Of course, Luffy's nakama immediately acted. While the others fought, Luffy goes out of the scene and leans on the mast, finally closing his eyes and pants, not trying to hold it anymore. Suddenly, the door bangs, revealing Vivi, who incredible looked worried. Oh hey, Vivi-chan. Sanji nonchalantly greets her while Vivi ignored him and looked at Luffy. Luffy knee. Vivi immediately rushes towards Luffy. Nami-san told you to rest, didn't she? Why are you so stubborn? I'm alright. Just before Luffy could go towards Wapol and beat the hell out of him, Zoro already knocked the man out flying. Rest, stupid. Zoro says as all eyes of his nakama were now on him, stern ones. Luffy had no choice but to sigh and just let them do whatever they want. Go get crazy. Luffy says with a tired grin before being led down by Vivi. He lightly shakes his head, and here I thought I'm the only person that's protective. Ignoring every nightmare he encountered, he wakes up. In the middle of the night. Groggily opening his eyes, he's surprised to see everyone sleeping at the room, except Sanji who is in duty. Damn, I'm one extra lucky guy. He laughs lightly before going to sleep once again, not minding the nightmares anymore. Not when he knows all his nakama is there for him. Hold on a moment. Usopp pauses, immediately thinking of the worst. Is that island gonna be safe? If there's snow, couldn't there be snow monsters or something? Usopp pales, his sweat immediately working even if it's cold. There might not be any humans living on it. Ignoring Usopp, Sanji gets surprised by the gigantic Mount 8. Just what are those mountains? If Luffy was here, he might ignore the coldness and just get amazed by so much snow on it. Oops. Wrong move. Everyone suddenly feels down, already thinking of what happens when Luffy wasn't sick. Stupid. Sanji immediately kicks Usopp's head, an angry look on his face. Look what you've done to Nami Swan and Vivi-chan. They look so down. Ignoring Sanji and Usopp who is bickering on the background, Vivi and Zoro look at the waterfall. A meltwater waterfall. Vivi pauses, gripping on the ship's railing. We should be able to dock our ship around here. So, who's going to go look for a doctor? Zoro asks as he crosses his arms, looking at everyone. Actually, I guess we should start by seeing if there are even any people. I'll go. Sanji says as he pauses. It's not like I care for the shitty straw hat, it's just that it seems like no one wants to even try. Zoro only laughs internally at Sanji's poor excuse. Yes, go forth, my comrades, Usopp proudly says in the background, his arms crossed. Suddenly, people gathered on the sides of the land, guns on their hands. Stop right there, pirates. Hey, there are people. Zoro says nonchalantly as he ignores the guns, leaning on the railing. Judging from the mood, this doesn't look so good, Usopp says as he frowns. An imposing man, with slicked black hair and a goatee, seems to be the leader. He wears a long, white fur-lined green tunic and has armor plates on his arms. These plates are retained on his forelegs when assuming his full bison form. He covers his head with a green and white fur-lined hat, equipped with ear flaps and wears long boots. You will turn around immediately, and leave this island at once. The imposing man says with a frown, looking at them cautiously. Wait, we've come here for a doctor. Vivi shouts as she grips on the railing. We have a sick person on board. Those lies won't work on us. Pirates. The people shouted back, frowns and distrust on their faces. This is our country and we won't let no stinking pirates run amok on it. They shouted, a fiercer and commanding tone on their voices. Now pull your anchor back up and beat it, or else we'll make you leave. Woo, Sanji takes out his cigarette, a frown on his face. Talk about a bad first impression. Don't talk back at us. The people shouted angrily, firing a bullet on Sanji's foot, which would he dodge? They opened fire. Usopp shouted as Zoro immediately halfway unsheathes his katana, while Sanji fully glares at them in anger. Now you've done it, Sanji says threateningly as he looks at the person who shot at him. The said person flinched and clicked his gun. Why you? When he was about to attack, Vivi stops him. Sanji, no. As the person shot a bullet at them once again, Vivi, unfortunately, caught the bullet and got grazed in the arm. Sanji looks back, his eyes wide. How dare you? Sanji shouted in anger as the people fully pointed guns at them. Prepare to shoot. As Sanji and the others got ready to fight, Vivi stopped Sanji by the waist. No, wait. This isn't a problem you can solve by fighting. She pauses. You don't have to worry about me. The bullet only grazed my arm. Once they stopped, Vivi and Nami bowed down to them, both saying, we beg of you. We promise not to set foot on your country, so could you please just call over a doctor? Our nakama is gravely ill and in much pain, please help him. Nami closes her eyes, a frown on her beautiful face. We only ask for a doctor, please save our friend. Each of them was surprised. For a pirate to bow down, we'll lead you to our town. The leader pauses. Follow me. With a sigh of relief, Nami and Vivi look at each other in happiness. Let me give you one warning beforehand, there's only one doctor in our country. The leader turns, and she happens to be a witch. With a dramatic pause of Luffy's nakama, Luffy is extremely bored, to the point he even bothered Sanji and get yelled at. I mean, what could he do? He's done everything, even cleaning his room completely. No dirt spotted anymore. Luffy begins reminiscing as he laid on top of Going Mary's head, completely absent-minded as he stares at the sky. What instantly came to him is the valuable and pleasant nostalgia along his nakama and his brothers. He beams a little bit, but his brows were furrowed in sorrow. Luffy determined to go to Sanji first, so he rises up and strides toward the lounge where Sanji is cooking. Opening the door, Sanji immediately groaned. "Go away, shitty straw hat. It's not dinner yet, so give inconvenience to someone else." Luffy pouts a bit but goes in and closes the door, heaving a little bit along the way. "Hey, I wasn't going to bother you or anything." Sanji only huffs back and adds mushrooms to the food he's making. Yeah, just don't do anything stupid." Luffy disregards Sanji's words and looks at the tempting meal whatever Sanji is making. "What are you cooking?" "Beef bourguignon." Sanji replied nonchalantly as he pours a burgundy red wine into the stockpot before adding the carrots he chopped. Next, he placed the chopped garlic, then the cauliflower. He then places the celery. Adding the salt, pepper, and bay leaves. He adds a little rosemary before closing the stockpot and placing the stove in medium-low heat. It wasn't long before Luffy groaned and banged his head on the table, letting his stomach growl loudly. "That's surely delicious." He pauses before raising his head slightly, enough to look at Sanji, who just sat on the chair with his hand on the table while resting his eyes. "How many are you going to make?" "Enough to satisfy your monstrous appetite along with the ladies," Sanji says serious Lou before puffing smoke from his cigarette. Luffy groans again, making Sanji chuckle a little. "It's going to take long, shitty straw hat. Go and bother someone else if you don't want to die in starvation while looking at the food." Luffy just nods and walks out with his hungry look that was ready to take the beef brisket out. Too bad Sanji was glaring at him. Closing the door, he immediately goes to the crow's nest to annoy Zoro. "Hey, Zoro. What you doing?" Luffy asks as he climbs up and looks at Zoro, who looked at him back. "Training, what do you want?" Zoro asks while his voice held a little annoyance. Luffy pouts once again. Why was his crew always like that to him? "I just wanted to see you, seriously, every time I go to one of you, all of you always ask with the same question and tone." Luffy complains as he clumsily plops on the wooden ground with a thud. Zoro only shook his head and continued his training, which made Luffy grin and feel proud. After a few minutes, he decided to leave him alone and went away, letting Zoro alone. Luffy visits Nami next, who was busy making maps. Her face was filled with stress, so Luffy thought to ease her mind with a little interruption. Luffy sat next to her, on the wooden ground. Nami immediately sees him at her peripheral vision and sighed. "What do you want?" Whoa, her tone is more aggressive than Sanji's, though it wasn't surprising. "Nothing, I just want to spend my time with you. Is that illegal now?" Luffy joked with a grin while Nami just looked at him, unimpressed. "No it isn't, just don't bother me," Nami says as she returns to what she was making, a solemn face once again on her face. It wasn't long before Luffy got bored, so he stood up, ruffled Nami's hair and went away. Last was Usopp, and like always, he was making things once again. He sits next to him and looks at what Usopp is inventing. "Hey, what's that?" Luffy says softly before Usopp looks at him with a grin. "It's one of my experiment. If this is a success, then we can use this to block the enemy's vision for a moment. Enough to attack them or dash out," Usopp proudly says as his eyes sparkled at the thought. Luffy only laughs and pats Usopp's back, ultimately believing that he can do it. "You can do it, Usopp." He then leaves, not wanting to be an interruption for Usopp. He had no one to go to anymore, so he just naps on his favorite place. Dinner was served, and as usual, it was cheerful and noisy. But a fight happened. Yes, and it wasn't the usual Zoro and Sanji fight. It was something worse. Luffy was just annoying Nami, and then it suddenly got heated. Nami brought all of her maps to discuss the next island and the other islands. Luffy was still eating unlike everyone, and when he reached for one of the meats that were on the center of the table, he accidentally moved Nami's glass of water that was just next to one of the maps, causing it to spill on one of them before fully making all of the maps wet one by one. "I worked for days just to do this," Nami shouted, her voice and face full of anger and frustration. Luffy seemed to have a moment of shock before his eyes widening. Nami, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it." Luffy suddenly stands up, immediately regretting looking at Nami's face. He knew Nami worked hard for it, each and every one of those. You can immediately see that she worked hard for it since each of it was extremely detailed, and that made him feel more guilty than the last time. "You shitty strawhat, Sanji shouted as he kicked Luffy's head in anger. Of course, Luffy didn't feel it, but he immediately seemed to shrink as he felt two people angry at him. Important ones too. Luffy knows how to create maps. Maybe he should make a replica. Maybe Nami could forgive him then. Do I? Forget it, Nami shouts as she all think about now are her maps and her hard work. All gone because of one mistake. I hate you. Luffy took a moment before tilting his head as he stayed still. What? His eyes were filled with confusion first, but deep down, he already understood those words. Luffy's world seemed to stop as all that his mind thought of was those painful words Nami unleashed from the bottom of her heart. He froze in both shock and pain. Wasn't he supposed to make his nakama happy? Why is he making it worse? He immediately thought of all the bad scenarios as he stayed quiet, his eyes wide open. Nami. Zoro didn't shout nor yell, but he said it in such a strong warning and threatening tone. Sanji didn't even react nor side with Nami. What Nami just said were too painful, and if that hurts him to the bottom of his heart, then Luffy's are worse. Usopp didn't know what to do. He was completely panicking as he looks at Nami. Hey, Nami, wasn't that a bit harsh? If what I said was harsh, think about what he just did, Nami shouted as she stomped away, going to her room, and on her hand were her soaked maps. No one made a move to comfort Luffy as the room was filled with tension, mostly coming out from Luffy. Usopp and Sanji just went away, not wanting to feel any more from Luffy, who just stayed still and his eyes blank. Zoro only pats Luffy's shoulder before leaving. He knew, Sanji and Usopp knew that both of them made mistakes. It's been 3 days and Luffy hasn't come out from his room to see everyone. He's greatly stressed. Unlike Nami, who ignored his presence and had fun. But, she knew. Not only her, but they've also been missing the stupid man's presence. Sometimes they even involuntarily think of Luffy, and it greatly broke their heart. You know, Nami-chan, Sanji stopped. He hates to say this, but things were too unnatural. Luffy's presence became the center for them without even realizing it. Even Zoro couldn't stop Luffy since he understood him, how painful it must have been. But Luffy's were far stronger, painful, and heartbreaking. You should visit. Why should I? Nami says as she glared at him, making Sanji shut up. Her pride was too high for her to do it, but she was already missing the damn clumsy straw hat. Usopp suddenly bangs the door open, his face paler than paper and sweating furiously as he pants. Oh oi. The two looks at him, feeling quite uneasy. There's Tutside. Usopp pauses, Nami and Sanji slowly stiffening. They must have been in an alliance. Zoro rushes down to the deck, along with Sanji, Nami, and Usopp. Didn't you tell it to Luffy? Zoro shouts to Usopp, who gulped. His room was locked and I know the doors and walls there are soundproof, so. That's where everyone realized a simple yet big mistake. They relied on Luffy too much, even when it comes to encouraging everyone. Zoro grit his teeth in anger. Even he knew that when he observed everyone, even he relied on Luffy. Luffy always observed and helped them, each and every damn time, even if they don't notice. Sure, that was his duty as the captain, but it was as if Luffy was doing all the work. It just slipped on his damn mind and now he completely regrets it. If we're done with this fight, Zoro starts, a big grin slowly forming on his face as he unsheathes his Wado. How about swallowing our pride just once and apologize to Luffy? Everyone looks at him in surprise before nodding, their spirits slowly raising up. Alright, let's go. Yeah. They've been tricked and got played with their enemy. Using one as a hostage then beating the other victim up. Even Zoro, who lasted the longest, got tricked, and they hate it. They hate how weak they are. They hate how they know that without Luffy, they can't do anything. They hate how Luffy's not there, they want him back. Gah! Usopp shouts in pain as someone shot a bullet through his shoulder, the certain one laughing sadistically as if enjoying how someone was squirming in pain under his feet. Nami, Zoro, and Sanji's eyes flashed incredible hate to the point their hair raised up. They were about to get up and fight for their injured nakama when all of a sudden, blood spilled. Nami and the others' eyes widened, some blood even spilled on them. Who the hell are you weaklings? A shiver crawled down everyone's spine as the known childish, jovial, and cheerful captain of the Straw Hat Pirates' voice became dark and cold. Luffy. Nami squirms and looks up a little from her place, and she regrets doing so. Luffy's grin was nowhere to be found, his eyes turned into a cold glare. And to top it all, he had blood on his clothes, mostly on his hand that turned into a fist. They didn't think Luffy could be capable of making such a cold face, nor kill. Well, they thought so considering he was so jovial, to the point they even thought of Luffy as a little brother despite his figure. Except for Zoro, who knows that Luffy can kill any time. He just knows that Luffy isn't that kind of nice. But this changed their point of view. Luffy looked so different to the point they felt uncomfortable being with him. A feeling they didn't believe they could develop at Luffy. Answer me, bastards. Luffy coldly spat as some of the pirates' knees gave up, looking at him in fear. Did you think just playing stupidity and lowly pranks could defeat us? The pirates couldn't reply, some even preparing to get away. Luffy loves how they gave him that look, petrified and scared. It's like his old persona came back, and it felt natural for him. Damn, Luffy. Usopp weakly says as he looks up shakily. His face shows all the pain he was feeling right now, and it made Luffy rage. Luffy's body began shaking in fury, seething in anger. How dare he sulk on his room and let something happen bad? He starts walking towards the uninvited pirates, who were petrified because of him. What the hell do you think you're doing? It sent shivers down their spine, each and every pirate felt it. Meanwhile, the Straw Hat Pirates couldn't even look at their captain, they were ashamed. To fall on a petty trick and rely on him, trying to hurt my nakama. Who the hell are you? A weak yet cocky pirate asked despite feeling the terrifying sensation. Every pirate looked at him as if he was insane, which probably was the case. I think it's better if you. Luffy's figure disappeared and suddenly appeared on the air in front of the pirate, his eyes glowing in bloodthirst and anger. Don't know about me. It took just one weak hit to show his immense strength. I'll spare no mercy for anyone who tries to take my nakama away from me. His persona changed, the Straw Hat Pirates knew that. For his cheerful and happy tone turned into one that they haven't heard before, something that anyone could fear. We'll go away and give your tea treasures back, the captain says with a fearful tone, matching the look on his face as he shakes in fear and sweating furiously. Luffy chuckles darkly, I'm sorry, but what language are you speaking? The pirates look at him both in confusion and fear. It sounds like bullshit, did you think I would let you all free? He takes a step forward, making the pirates take a step back with their shaking figures. This wasn't their plan, he wasn't a part of it. I'll slowly torture you all and devour your hope to live. Luffy pauses, his grin that his nakama loves suddenly turned into something malicious and dark. Enjoy the hopelessness and fear in your faces as you scream for help. Luffy, Nami says weakly as she shakily stands up and looks at him once again with a frown, who looked at her back, it immediately scared her. The person in front of her isn't her captain. Jay, just let them go and let's get back on our daily lives, Nami says as she takes a step forward, a frown on her face. Luffy's face slowly turned into a frown and a solemn one, but they heard all of why. It's alright, Nami says as she looks at the pirates in anger, just don't mind these stupid pirates. Luffy closed his eyes and takes a moment of silence before sighing and nodding. He looks at both relieved and scared pirates. You're lucky my navigator is kind, or else all of you would have been slowly dying right now. The pirates gulp as they take a step back once again, some even touching the railing of going merry. Now get away from my sight, my nakama's sights. The pirates immediately ran in fear towards their ships and went away. It took a while, but Luffy cut the rope that tied them, and after that, was silence. But inside Luffy's thoughts, he was panicking. Do they fear me now? Are they going to leave me? No, I won't let that happen. I would, Luffy. Nami's voice snapped him back to reality, and he looks at Nami who looked at him back. Nami is very satisfied that her captain didn't wear such a face anymore, and she hopes to not see that face as much as possible. I am very sorry, I didn't swallow my pride and let you suffer. I'm also sorry, Luffy. Zoro suddenly says as he frowns, I failed as your first mate. He failed to protect his nakama and stand up to his position as a first mate. We're also sorry. Sanji and Usopp say as all of them bows at him, making Luffy step back a little in surprise. Forgive us. It took a moment for Luffy to laugh and hug his family. Stupid, I've forgiven you all from the very beginning. But I'm also sorry, I failed as your captain. Stupid, Nami whispers as all of them close their eyes and just enjoy the silence with the warmth of Luffy. After that, they went back on their daily lives. Eat with the cheerful atmosphere once again, with someone to annoy them to death once again, and with someone to be their center once again. Stop there, shitty strawhat, Sanji shouts as he runs toward Luffy, who is running with a meat on his hands. Shi. Luffy sharply turns around the corner, causing Sanji to abruptly stop and slowly hit the railing, making him fall on the ocean. Thank you for being with us always, Luffy, we'll promise to be stronger than this. As Dalton takes a peek on what Sanji just took out from their ship's room, he looks at the certain person behind Sanji with wide eyes. This kid. The leader shouts in surprise as he looks at Luffy in disbelief, taking a slight step backward. You know our captain? Sanji suspiciously says as he stiffens, not trusting the man one bit. Nami decided to cover him since she didn't want any fights. The armed people already raised their guns and swords. Yes, I know him. The leader says calmly as he sighs and rubs his forehead, raising his hand to signal that they don't need to raise their weapons, making the armed men reluctantly do so. The first time we met was disastrous. As the Straw Hats takes a step on the island, he continues to walk with a troubled look on his face. We must immediately take him to the witch. He pauses for a second, minding his words. Acquaintance with her. May I ask what the name of this country is? Vivi asks politely as she looks at the leader, who looked at her sideways. This country, the leader starts as he looks at them seriously, has no name as of yet. A nameless country. Vivi repeats what the man said as she frowns lightly. Is that even possible? Suddenly, they meet a giant white orthograde bear with a walking stick on its hand. Yeah, it's a bear, Usopp shouts as he flails his arm in fear, his face matching his scared figure. Everyone play dead. He purposely falls on the ground and pretends to be dead. The hiking bear bows at them, and it seems like it was expecting for the people to return the gesture back. It's just a hiking bear. The man says nonchalantly as he bows, the armed men soon following his gesture. It poses no danger, but mind your hiking manners and don't forget to bow. The Straw Hat soon bows, doing what the man said. Meanwhile, the Going Merry was left in Zoro's hand, the rest following the man. I should start training now, Zoro says as he stands up with no shirt, clapping his hand together as he breathes deeply. I might as well do some meditating while swimming in the cold water. On the background, Karoo looks at him in disbelief, a snot dripping from his nostrils as his lower bill drops comically. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. This is, the leader says as he takes a step back, letting the Straw Hats have a better view at the snowing town, Big Horn, our town. Usopp gaped. They got some weird animals walking around. He turns his head as everything seems to fascinate him. A real snow country for sure. Oi, shitty captain. Sanji turns his head slightly, only to hear Luffy groan and move a little. We're finally in a town full of people and don't even think of removing yourself out in that position or you're dead meat, Sanji says bluntly as he looks in front once again. The leader turns to his armed men. Good work, everyone. He pauses. Those that aren't on guard duty can now return to their normal jobs. A random man turns to him. You sure you can handle them yourself, Dalton? The man looks at the Straw Hats in suspicion. They're pirates. It is all right, the leader says reassuringly, looking at Luffy's weakened form. They're with someone I quite know, so I assure all of you that they will not give any harm. Since Luffy's been with him for almost 2 weeks, he knows him quite well. Vivi looks at the armed men carefully before looking at the leader. This country doesn't have any professional soldiers, does it? The leader turns to her. No, they're all normal civilians. The leader shortly replies, for the time being, come to my house. Ah, another hiking bear. Usopp immediately bows in fear to a hiking bear, which is actually a woman. A big woman whose body shape looks like that of a hiking bear so much that Usopp mistakenly took her as one and bowed his head. She has curly hair that is in a round shape. She wears a brown coat with dark brown buttons that cover her whole body, with white fur on the ends of the sleeves, the hood, and the bottom of the coat, along with light brown frills on the chest, and a dark brown stripe where the upper body separates from the lower body. She also wears a light red scarf and dark brown shoes that have white fur at the top. Dalton, I heard there were pirates, the woman says with a grin while looking at the leader, Dalton. She seems to not notice Usopp bow, making Dalton's sweat drop at the scene before him. Is everything alright? Rest assured, everything is under control, madam. Dalton replies with his calm tone, looking at the woman in his casual face that has always a frown. Dalton, an old man suddenly shouts with a grin, making Dalton turn to the old man. I'll be looking forward to the elections in 2 days. The woman leaves, having no more words to say to the man. Everyone says they'll be voting for you. That's preposterous, the man slightly shouts as a seed on his cheek falls, his face slightly showing his disbelief. I bear too many sins for such a position. O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O. You can use the bed over there, the man says as he opens his door and gestures at his bed. I'll go heat up the room right now. The Straw Hats enter before Sanji places Luffy down carefully, slightly making Luffy sigh in comfort. My apologies for the belated introduction. He adjusts his sword before carefully placing it down. My name is Dalton and it is my job to guard this island. Dalton pauses. Please forgive our hostile welcome. He looks at Vivi. I'd like to ask you one thing. Vivi hums, looking at Dalton as she adjusts the green striped blanket on Luffy's body. I get the feeling that I've seen you before somewhere, Dalton says as he scrunches eyes slightly in wonder. Vivi flinches, sweating in nervousness. Why, you must be imagining things. I'm sure we've never met before. Vivi immediately looks away. More importantly, could you please tell me more about this witch? O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O-P-O, a fever of 48 degrees. Dalton says in disbelief as he looks at Luffy, shocked that Luffy is still alive. His fever's been rising steadily since 3 days ago, Vivi adds as she frowns at Luffy's condition. Not to mention, his immune system is weak due to his anemia. If it rises any higher, he'll lose his life, Dalton says as his frown deepens. Yes, but I'm afraid we don't know what cause of his disease, nor how to treat it, Vivi says as she looks at Dalton, a frown also on her face. It doesn't matter if this doctor is a witch or whatever as long as she can cure this shitty Straw Hat, Sanji says with a calm face, yet his panic and worry came out a little bit on his tone. So where the hell is she? Usopp shouts as he paces back and forth, his mind continuously thinking of the worst case scenarios. Dalton looks at Usopp from the window. Dalton starts as he gestures at the window behind Sanji. You should be able to see mountains. Sanji, Usopp, and Vivi turn to the window, You mean those extremely tall-looking mountains? Sanji says as he puffs smoke out. Those mountains are called Drum Rockies. Dalton says as he also looks at the window. Perhaps you can see a castle at the top of the tallest mountain in the middle? So what about that castle? Vivi asks as she looks at Dalton, who had his arms crossed. Yeah, I can see it all right, Sanji says unnecessarily as he places his hands on the flap pocket of his coat. Presently, it's a castle with no kings. Dalton pauses. Dr. Kureha, the lone doctor in this castle whom the people call a witch, lives in that very castle situated on the mountain. What? The three chorused as they look at him in disbelief before Sanji turns to the window, a frown on his face as a sweat goes down from his cheek. Of all the places she could be, she just has to be there. Sanji pauses. Well, we better go call her right away then. This is an emergency. As much as I'd like to, there is no way to contact her. Dalton shortly replies as he looks at Sanji, who turns to him once again, this time, a look of anger and frustrated. Sanji shouts, his fists shaking in frustration. And she calls herself a doctor. What's with this woman? Luffy groans lightly, getting the attention of everyone in the room. Vivi looks at Sanji with her eyes scrunched, making Sanji gulp and mouth a sorry. As Sanji, Luffy weakly says as his vision were blurry, but he can still manage. Yeah? Sanji walks towards Luffy, leaning at the side of the bed with a frown still on his face. Don't go, Luffy says weakly as he pauses, towards the castle. Sanji and the others rose their brow in confusion. Why? Don't you want to get healed up? Usopp asks as he also goes beside Sanji. They won't be there, Luffy pants as he silently groans in pain, his eyes shut. Dalton and the others look at him in more confusion, debating whether they should ask why he knows or not. Go, to another V village. Due to his weak and painful throat, the only thing that came out was those words. He wants to finish this already. Sure, he used his haki and it was quite weak. He may already have aroused more suspicions that he should have, but he wants to finish this. There was a lot of things they had to do, and being this weak makes him a burden. Usopp looks at him in disbelief and gulps as he takes a step forward. But Luffy, how can we be so? Usopp. Nami starts as she wore a solemn look, and had already stated that she already decided, let's go. But Nami, don't you trust our captain? Nami turns her head at Usopp, her face staying the same. Usopp gulps and looks down, nodding his head. Our captain has the most incredible luck, he won't die. That's right. Sanji nods before swooning at Nami with his weird dance. Nami-chan, you're so loyal. Nami only decides to ignore him and sigh. Zoro sighs and decides to take booze before going out to meditate, when all of a sudden, he unconsciously thinks of Luffy's room. He scrunches his eyes and shakes his head, though his curiosity still got over him. Goddammit, he can still remember that time when he first went to Luffy's room. He was certainly regretting it, even up to this day, because he didn't want to be suspicious of his captain. His goddamn captain, damn it. Flashback. Why does it have to be me, that witch? Zoro groans as he ruffles his hair. Zoro opens Luffy's room to take some clothes, when all of a sudden, Luffy's Den Den Mushi rang. Zoro slightly flinches at the Den Den Mushi's sound before turning to it, his eyes scrunched. He shouldn't answer it, right? If Luffy has a private Den Den Mushi, then that means it must be something that only Luffy should answer. Right? The curiosity took over him, and with a sigh, he answers the call, and before he got to say who he was, the person who was calling talked first. What the hell, Straw Hat? We've been calling you these past few days. The person gets cut off by another voice, making Zoro raise his eyebrow. Or past few weeks, to be honest. The person adds as he, judging by the voice, pauses. We lost your number, so we had to look everywhere because a certain pineapple head over there, lost it. Shut up, Thatch. The person named Marco, says back, because my desk's been buried with papers, and include your morning prank that day, we lost it. The person named Thatch just complains on the background, though Zoro kept quiet. He got interested, and he was quite disdained considering he is Luffy's first mate, and he even didn't know about it. Anyway, a gruff voice, almost like an old man, pipes in. We're here to inform you that Teach already attacked. The man pauses. It's a good thing Marco checks the ship time to time. He saw Thatch just lying on the ground. And it's a good thing I was barely alive. The man, Thatch, adds in as he soon whimpers in pain. Zoro hearing a hard slap at the same time. Damn it, Marco. You didn't have to hit me that hard. Actually, a new voice pipes in, you actually deserved that. Izo's right. Marco adds with a smug tone. Zoro swears he can feel that man smirking. And got in time to bring Thatch to the infirmary. The gruff-voiced man continues as if no one interrupted him. Soon, an air of silence takes over the call. Hey, Luffy. Thatch pauses with a concerned tone. You alright there? You've been quiet ever since we called you. Zoro internally panics, gulping as he sweats. Yeah, he internally facepalms at his terrible imitation of Luffy's voice, considering Luffy's voice is quite deeper than his. What the hell? Thatch replies, your voice sounds weird. Luffy, did something happen? Are you feeling alright there, or May? Luffy, when will that time come again? The gruff-voiced man asks with a neutral tone which makes Zoro have a hard time to know if they were already suspicious of him. In panic, Zoro places the handset switch hook with the speed Zoro didn't know he possessed. He soon sits clumsily on Luffy's bed, placing his hands on his forehead. Fuck. Present meanwhile, on Luffy's side while Vivi and Usopp stayed with Dalton and Luffy, the rest went to the neighboring village, just like Luffy said. Dr. Kureha, Sanji pauses, puffing out smoke as he looks at the old woman with a reindeer following her. Right, Dalton already gave out some information about how Kureha looks and who's she with, so it's already quite easy to know who Kureha is. Kureha, the old woman, stops on her tracks and looks at Sanji and Nami sideways, a grin still on her face. Yes, that's me. What do you want? She pauses, you want to know the secret of my youth? Nami and Sanji comically sweat drop, a blank look on their face. That's not what we want to ask. And no, Nami pauses, her face suddenly serious making Sanji, Kureha, and the reindeer also look seriously. It's about our captain, Luffy. The reindeer seemed to perk up, his eyes and mouth wide. Luffy, Kureha repeats in disbelief, now striding towards Nami and placing her hands on Nami's shoulder. Is this a kid with a straw hat, a scar with 2 stitches underneath his left eye and a large X-shaped scar on his chest? Kid, Nami pauses as she sweat drops once again, why yes. What happened to him? Kureha immediately asks as she places her sunglasses on her forehead. Well, what? Smoker's frown deepens as he glares harder at the marine in front of him, who is currently sweating furiously. Admiral Akainuo ordered UT to go after the Straw Hats, the poor marine gulps, seeing Smoker glare at him deeper. Why the hell did that dog suddenly took notice of that stupid Straw Hat when a long time ago, he didn't even care about him? Smoker thought as he looks at the marine. You can go now. The marine nods furiously and shakily went away. Is it because of the bounty? No, his bounty may have risen dramatically, but it shouldn't be enough to have his attention. Smoker clicks his tongue, placing his hand on his forehead. I have a bad feeling about this.